A very good evening and welcome to a very special primetime news bulletin coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. As you know, today is the 14th of November 2024. Today was a day that will be earmarked and highlighted in Sri Lanka's electoral map, in Sri Lanka's political map. In Sri Lanka's political history, we know that parliamentary elections or elections of any sort are highly sought after by the populace, and today was no different. Sri Lanka went to the polls to elect 225 members to the legislature, which is the parliament and which is one pillar of democracy here in Sri Lanka. All of us here at Newsfirst brought you around-the-clock coverage starting from 7 a.m. this morning, and we have now come to primetime news. We have all of the stories lined up for you that matter to you before, during and after the voting process, and we will take a look at them momentarily. I am Jayamal Ratnayaka for the Newsfirst team and my co-host. Good evening, Rochelle. Welcome back.
Very good evening, Jayamal. I am Rochelle Tumodra. So just like Jayamal told, today is a special day for Sri Lanka, because of which we will be having a special bulletin, because just like the presidential election, Sri Lanka will be deciding once again, and this is the 10th parliamentary election held in Sri Lanka. So now let's cross over to our headlines, the stories that made headlines tonight on our bulletin.
Counting of postal votes of the parliamentary election begins. Vote counting at main counting centres begins after 7:15 p.m. Election results to be released in 3 phases, says Election Commission.
අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා තේරීම් බාර නිලධාරීන්ගෙන් ඡන්ද ප්‍රතිඵල ලැබුණු විගස ඒ ප්‍රතිඵලය මාධ්‍යයට නිකුත් කිරීමට.
Island-wide voter turnout exceeds 60%, district returning officers confirm. Multiple candidates arrive at polling centres to cast their ballot.
Sri Lanka decides.
What you saw were the preparations and of course the production that is currently underway in view of Sri Lanka Decides 2024, the parliamentary election edition of Sri Lanka Decides. We here at Newsfirst have been very busy in our headquarters and also at a special production set that has been placed at Stein Studios here in Ratmalana. And before we move on to the news for this evening, we have received the postal voting results for the Galle district. If I am to break it down for you, the National People's Power has garnered 32,296 votes. The Samagi Jana Balawegya has gained 3,523 votes, while the NDF has received 1,964 votes. These are, of course, the postal voting results of the Galle district. Let me repeat the postal voting result of the Galle district to you. The National People's Power has gained 32,296 votes. The Samagi Jana Balawegya has garnered 3,523 votes, and the NDF has gained 1,964 votes. As I was speaking to you about the Galle district postal vote, we have also received the postal voting results of the Ratnapura district. We will bring you those result breakdowns in momentarily. So, Rochelle, as I was mentioning, we started off our election coverage at 6 a.m. today, and I'm sure you have a full breakdown of what transpired since 6 a.m. this morning. Why don't you apprise our viewers of that?
Exactly, Jamal. So just like you said, we started our live coverage at 6 a.m. today, and we will bring you live updates from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo, as well as our election headquarters at Stein Studios in Ratmalana, and our reporters are working round the clock to bring you the latest updates. And currently the counting of votes is taking place. Just like Jamal said, we just received 2 results, and we will be giving you real-time data of all the results, starting from the first official result up to the very last result. Is Jamal?
Certainly, Rochelle, like Rochelle mentioned, Stein Studios is also as busy as we are, because the postal voting results of electoral divisions have started to come in. We received the postal voting result of the Galle district, and we have also received the postal voting result of the Ratnapura district, which we will bring to you momentarily, and that has already been announced through our team that is placed in Stein Studios. While all of the production has been happening here at the newsroom or the Newsfirst headquarters in Colombo, Stein Studios had a dedicated set for Sri Lanka Decides 2024. We have a dedicated set of presenters who will be breaking down all of the election results for you. There is also a special analysis desk where seasoned and veteran journalists will be breaking down past results and what the current results of this year's election will mean. We also have a special analysis desk of previous results that will be compared with this year's parliamentary election results. So whilst all of that is happening at Stein Studios in Ratmalana, Newsfirst headquarters, the election HQ here at Newsfirst, where we are currently at, has also been very busy, especially the Newsfirst English desk. We are now being joined by Newsfirst's Juad Abdi from the Newsfirst English desk right here. Juad, tell us the latest situation at the newsroom. How is everyone feeling? What is the general sentiment? Are you guys all geared up for a night filled with results and, of course, work?
Yes, Jamal, thank you. Over 17 million voters, over 8,000 candidates, over 13,000. 17 million voters, over 8,000 candidates, over 13,000 polling stations. Sri Lanka, you have decided. Now, we here at Newsfirst have been working since this morning to bring you the results first and fast. Now, who will be the next 225 representing the parliament? So like I told you, we at Newsfirst have been working since the morning, working tirelessly to bring you these results in Sinhala, English and Tamil, in all 3 languages. Now, the first results have come out, and as you can see, the MTV desk, the Sirasa TV desk, the Sirasa FM desk, we are all working, and we will be working throughout the night as well to bring you the results first and fast. And like I told, in all 3 languages, Sinhala, English and Tamil, on TV, radio and also on all digital platforms. So stay tuned, like I told, onto Newsfirst as we bring you these results first and fast. Rochelle and Jamal, it's back over to you.
Thank you very much, Juad, for that comprehensive update. That was Juad Abding joining us from the newsroom, showing you live scenes of everything that is unfolding here at Election HQ in Colombo. We have all 3 languages. Our journalists from all 3 channels, from Sinhala, English and Tamil, have been working around the clock to bring you the latest news, the latest developments and the latest results from this year's parliamentary election. In the meantime, we have received the postal voting results for the Ratnapura district. If I am to break it down for you, the National People's Power has garnered 24,776 votes, while the Samagi Jana Balavega has gained 2,969 votes, and the NDF, the New Democratic Front, has garnered 1,528 votes. Those were the postal voting results of the Ratnapura district. If I may repeat them to you once more, the National People's Power has gained 24,776 votes. The Samagi Jana Balavega has garnered 2,969 votes, while the New Democratic Front have been obtained 1,528 votes. So now, Rochelle, we know when it comes to the election season, the National Election Commission, its commissioner and the rest of the commission play a very vital role, and they have been very transparent this time around, as similar to all other elections, in bringing us accurate developments from the polling centers, how the polling worked, how much of a voter turnout was experienced during the voting period, and many more. And I believe you have news from the Election Commission for our viewers today.
Yes, Jaimal. So the Election Commissioner told that this time the 2024 parliamentary election was conducted much peacefully, I would say. So, and also he further said that the election results are to be announced in 3 phases. Now, next up we have a small story as to what he had to say.
පස්වරු 7:15 පසුව ප්‍රධාන ගණන් කිරීමේ මධ්‍යස්ථානවල කටයුතු ආරම්භ කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය විධිවිධාන මෙවනට යොදා තිබෙනවා.
Necessary measures are in place to start counting at main counting centres by 7:15 p.m. Once returning officers provide the results, they will be reviewed once again at the Electoral Secretariat and release them to the media. We plan to release results in 3 phases. During the first phase, results of each electorate will be released. Then, results of electoral districts and seats won by political parties and independent groups will be released simultaneously. Once results of each electorate are released, counting of preferences will begin. It must be noted that preference votes will only be counted of parties or independent groups who have won seats in Parliament. We intend to issue the final results as soon as possible. Our request from the general public is to remain in their homes and view the results instead of hanging around roads. Loitering on main roads or watching results in groups is illegal. The police will be compelled to either disperse crowds or arrest them. Therefore, I urge the public to extend the same support given to the authorities during the voting period until the counting is concluded and the final result is issued. We make this request from political parties, supporters and other groups. Our plan is to issue accurate results swiftly to the general public.
ආධාරකරුවන්ගේ සියලු දෙනාගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නිවැරදි ප්‍රතිඵලය හැකිතා කල්වේල ඇතුව මහජනතාව අතර පත් කරන්නට.
What you heard was a media briefing that was convened by the chairman of the Election Commission, Mr. R.M.A.L. Ratnayaka. That is what he had to say. Of course, we know that voting for the parliamentary election began at 7 a.m. this morning and concluded at 4 p.m. and ballot boxes were thereafter transported to the main counting centres established in respective polling districts or respective electoral districts, and vote counting is currently underway. We have of course received postal voting results from 2 districts already as well. To bring you the latest from the vote counting, Newsfirst Budbin Amaradevakara was touring Colombo and its suburbs earlier today, and he is currently joining us with the details of how the vote counting is taking place. Budbin?
So today we are here near the Royal College in Colombo, as it is one of the main counting centres. So there are 2 main counting centres in Colombo, which is the D.S. Senanaka College in Colombo and also the Royal College in Colombo. So over 1.7 million voters were eligible to vote in this year's parliamentary election in the Colombo electoral districts in over 1,200 polling booths, which was located all around the Colombo electoral district. So we as Newsfirst, we have been giving you details and all the information since 7 a.m. in the morning. So stay tuned as we will bring you the latest election results. So stay tuned with Newsfirst. Reporting to you, I am Budbin Amaradevakara.
This evening, ballot boxes were transported under police protection to 11 counting centres across the Western Province. Ballot boxes were transported to the counting centres at Royal College and D.S. Senanaka College in Colombo.
No acts of violence have been reported so far. We can assure that a transparent election process was conducted. Reports suggest that 60 to 65% of voters have cast their vote. Counting of postal votes commenced at 4:15 p.m. A total of 8 counting centres are established in the central province. Votes were cast at 1,754 polling centres and the ballot boxes were transported to the designated counting centres.
Around 62% of the registered voters in the Kandy district have exercised their right to franchise. We hope to release postal voting results of the district by midnight.
The ballot boxes from the northern and eastern provinces were transported to the respective counting centres. 7 counting centres have been established in the northwestern province. The ballot boxes were transported to the centres amid tight security after 4 p.m.
There was a voter turnout of 68%. Postal votes are currently being counted and we are able to issue postal voting results by midnight.
More than 2.1 million voters arrived at the polling centres from the morning and cast their votes to elect their representatives in the southern province. 5 counting centres are established across the province and the transportation of ballot boxes started this evening.
64% of the registered voters have cast their votes. We intend to release postal voting results by 10 p.m. and polling division results by midnight. Voter turnout stands between 66 to 67% in the Hambantota district.
This was the manner in which ballot boxes were transported to counting centres established in the northern and eastern provinces. Our correspondents noted that the transportation process was in its final stage.
News First with the people.
News First. Main sponsor.
Generators for long-term rent. Multiways Engineering Private Limited. Soundproof generators. Long-term rent. Multiways Engineering Private Limited. Number 54/1, Delgahavatta Road, Ratmalana.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD. A symbol of stability.
Soundproof generators. Long-term rent. Multiways Engineering Private Limited. Number 54/1, Delgahavatta Road, Ratmalana.
Welcome back to the news. Before we crossed over to that commercial break, you witnessed how ballot boxes were transported to the main counting centres, and you also heard sentiments from district returning officers of Kandy, Kurunegala, Galle, Colombo and so on. So we have been covering the length and breadth of Sri Lanka during the voting process, after the voting process, and we will be bringing you first and fast, accurate news as and when it happens throughout this election process. Rochelle, political leaders also cast their votes to their respective preferences during the voting process throughout the day. What do you have from that end for our viewers?
Yes, so President Andrukumara Dissanayake, who is also the leader of the National People's Power, also casted his vote in Colombo today. Let's now have a look.
President Anurukumara Dissanayake visited the polling centre at Abesinha Ramaya Temple in Panchigawatha and cast his vote. Speaking to reporters, the President emphasised that election victories should be celebrated in a democratic and peaceful manner.
We view this election as a critical turning point for Sri Lanka. The political culture in our country has undergone a significant transformation. Since the previous presidential election, we have demonstrated that election success should be celebrated peacefully without violence or disturbances in a democratic spirit. This approach should become ingrained in our political culture. I believe that this election, like previous peaceful and democratic elections in Sri Lanka, represents a political victory for the people. For this victory to have lasting strength, it is essential that we we continue to celebrate democratic victories peacefully in the post-election period.
සාමකාමීව ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීව ජයග්‍රහණය සමරන්න කියලා පොදු ජනතාවගෙන් අපි ඉල්ලා හිටිනවා.
ඔබතුමා කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ පිටවන බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ කවදද?
ලෙහලා බලන්න තියෙන මල්ල නේද? ඔබලා බලන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. ඔබතුමාලට අවශ්‍ය කරන බලය තුනෙන් දෙකක් අපිට ශක්තිමත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ප්‍රමාණවත්.
A strong parliament will be more than enough for us. With parliamentary support, we can enact laws that benefit the people. If we enact laws that reflect the wishes of the people, no one in parliament will be able to oppose them. We have enough confidence that we will secure the votes, surpassing 2/3 in parliament to enact such laws.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තුනෙන් දෙක ඉක්ම යන ලද ඡන්ද ප්‍රමාණයක් ලබා ගත හැකියි. ජාතික ජන බලවේගයේ අපිත්
We share those expectations. In the past, the political landscape of our country was divided between the north and the south, each with its own political dynamics. We are pleased that we have begun a new political process that seeks to unite the north, south and east.
එකතු කරන දේශපාලනය.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya cast a vote this morning at the polling centre located at the Samruddhi building in Mirihana.
නව ආණ්ඩුවේ අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය ධූරිය විදිහට ඔබතුමිය පත් වෙනවද මොකද වෙන්නේ?
We are focused on securing victory in the Colombo district. I have full confidence in our team's victory. Once the results are in, we'll assess the situation across the country. What truly matters is not the position itself, but the creation of a strong government in parliament.
බහුතර බලයක් හම්බ වෙයි කියලා විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවද?
විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා.
I am confident. Even those who didn't vote for us in the presidential election have started to view us more favorably. As we deliver on our promises, people are beginning to feel the positive change. That's why we believe we will secure a majority in parliament.
වේදී බහුතර බලයක් එනවා.
බහුතරය හදාගන්න නොහැකි
නෑ.
No, we can form a majority, but for democracy to work, a strong opposition is necessary in parliament. I believe that having a good opposition is ultimately beneficial for the country.
විපක්ෂයක් ඉන්න එක මම කියන්නේ රටට හොඳයි.
වැඩිම ඡන්ද ප්‍රමාණයක් ගත්ත අගමැතිතුමෝ
ඒක ජනතාවනේ තීරණය කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක බලමු අපි.
ඊයේ රනිල් මහත්තයා කියනවා මේ කාන්තාව ටිකක් එකතු කරලා රටේ ආර්ථිකය ගැන ණය ගැන පොඩි උපදේශ ටිකක් දෙනවා ආණ්ඩුවට. මුතුමැල කැමති නැද්ද නිකන් උපදේශක තනතුරක් දීලා ඕකෙන් ගන්න උපදේශ?
අනේ නෑ. කිසිසේත්ම නෑ.
Absolutely not. We won't be accepting any advice from Ranil. I believe he should enjoy his retirement now. Perhaps he can still play a light-hearted role in the media, providing some entertainment, but I don't think he should be giving advice on governance. That role is behind him now.
වෙන දෙයක්ත් තියෙන්න එපා. ඒ රෝල් එක යට කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි දිගට.
Leader of the Samagi Jana Banavegya Sajit Premadasa cast his vote at the Kottegoda Vivekarama Purana Viharaya in Rajagiriya today.
I suggest that we all join hands together and give the best contribution the 22 million of us can give in order to save our motherland from bankruptcy.
ලබා දෙන්නට එක්සත්ව කැපවෙමු කියන එක මම යෝජනා කරනවා.
Leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Mahinda Rajapaksa along with the national organizer of the party Namal Rajapaksa both arrived at the D.A. Rajapaksa College in Madamulana Tangol to cast their vote.
The situation is good. It seems that people from several places arrive to cast their votes. I believe that a good outcome will be seen. There exist challenges in every direction for the to-be-appointed government. We had strong preparation as a team over the 5 weeks since the presidential election, and I believe we are in a better position now than we were then. This election can be seen as the beginning of the SLPP's victory in future elections, as well as the start of a new generation of politics.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe cast his vote at the University of Colombo today.
අදින් පස්සේ අර 225 කියන ස්ලෝගන් එක ඉවර වේද?
It can be used by anyone who wants to, but it seems to me that the interest is less than during the presidential election. Reports are coming from everywhere, and it seems the people are not really invested in this. Sometimes they don't even know who the candidates are. So let's wait and see how the results turn out. It could be less than 70%. Yes, the government is inexperienced, and I urge that we do not make parliament inexperienced as well. That's why I say we need experienced people in parliament. That's not me. They are. I'm just watching them do it. I want them to come to the other side. I want them to implement the IMF program. They cannot delay it. That's why I said that as voter turnout decreases, it could either be an advantage or disadvantage. We can't be certain about it right now. I don't know. We would need to ask the General Secretary if that has been put into action. We'll have to see if Parliament or Abans has taken action on that.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena cast his vote at the Sri Vidyaloka Viharaya in Polonnaruwa.
As far as I know, the Sarvajana Bala has a great potential in politics, as a strong leader is in place. I believe we will have a good victory in this election. We will support the positive steps taken by the new government. However, if something is not good for the people or the country, we as a Sarvajana Bala will oppose it.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති චන්ද්‍රිකා බණ්ඩාරනායක කුමාරතුංග මහත්මිය ඡන්දය ප්‍රකාශ කළේ නිට්ටඹුව විද්‍යානන්ද පිරිවෙන් ඡන්ද මධ්‍යස්ථානයේදී.
Leader of Sarvajana Bala Dilip Jayavira cast his vote at the Mirihana Sri Chandra Rama Viharaya.
This is a slow-paced journey, and the most important aspect is to move forward positively with a program that the people will accept. Throughout this election, we have tried to present a logical program to win the people's favour.
Leader of the United Democratic Voice, Ranjan Ramanayaka cast his vote at the Daluwakota Junior College, Kochikade.
This time I'm contesting from a party called the United Democratic Voice. I am the party leader, and so the love remains every day. Let's see the love this evening. I believe the people will send others along with me in place of my loneliness.
Attorney Nuwan Bobage of the People's Struggle Alliance cast his vote at the Sri Sumanatissa College, Navagamua.
Instead of allowing the frauds in this election, I say we must build a new opposition. I believe the people will reject the culprits and create a new modernized opposition.
Leader of the second generation of Vindu Vijayveera cast his vote at the Chandravansha College in Alapitiwala Ragama.
We are contesting for the first time. The people had high hopes for a new team coming to Parliament. We worked with that expectation in mind.
Leader of the Janaseta Peruna, Venerable Battaramulle Sila Ratnathera, cast his vote at the University of Badapota in Battaramulla. The 2024 parliamentary election to elect representatives into the 10th Parliament of Sri Lanka got underway at 7 a.m. and concluded at 4 p.m. today. The Sri Lankan Parliament is made up of 225 seats. Out of that 225, 196 are elected through the parliamentary election. The remaining 29 seats will be filled by national list candidates. Accordingly, 8,888 candidates will be contesting the 2024 parliamentary election. Out of that, 5,006 candidates will be contesting through recognized political parties, while 3,346 are independent candidates. 17,140,354 people were eligible to cast their votes in the parliamentary election. Majority of them will cast their vote from the Western Province. People from the Colombo, Kalutara and Gampaha districts cast their ballots today to elect 47 members of parliament. People in the Northwestern Province, which includes the Kurunagala and Puttlam districts, vote in the 2024 parliamentary election to elect 23 MPs into parliament. In the central province, that includes the Nuwara, Matale and Kandy districts, totaling 2,026,602 eligible voters cast their votes today to elect 25 MPs to Parliament.
Good morning. Good morning.
In the North Central Province, people in the Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa districts voted to elect 14 members to Parliament. In the Northern Province, which includes the Mullaitivu, Vaunia, Mana, Jaffna and Kilinochchi districts, people cast their votes today to elect 13 members of Parliament. In the Eastern Province, which encompasses the Trincomalee, Batiklo and Digamadula districts, people voted to 16 members of Parliament. In the Southern Province, voters in the Gaul, Mathura and Hambantara districts cast their ballots this morning to elect 25 members to Parliament. In the Sabaragamu province, people voted to elect 20 MPs to Parliament. Newsfirst correspondent reported that the voting process proceeded peacefully. In the Uva province, which includes the Badulla and Munaragala districts, people cast their votes today to elect MPs to Parliament.
Election observers deployed for the 2024 parliamentary election were also seen at the polling centres.
It went peacefully, but at the same time, actually we are acknowledging the changes that we saw, especially that we saw more female SPO right now. More usage of the inclusion aspects like the notice for the sign language interpreters, more directional and instructional signages.
Compared to the presidential election, I think the voter turnout was lower. From the stations that we visited, we didn't see large queues in any of the stations that we visited, but at the same time we have to, we admire the kind of strength that the Sri Lankan people have shown in coming out and voting. So we are looking forward to the counting process, and our observers will be at the counting stations across the country, and we will be monitoring and releasing a statement later today.
About 10,000 local election observers representing 10 organizations will be taking part in the monitoring process of the 2024 parliamentary election. The National Election Commission added that a special security arrangement is in place to ensure the safety of all election observers.
Soundproof generators, long-term rent, Multiways Engineering Private Limited, number 54.1, Delgahavatta Road, Ratmalana.
With all of the election-related news being brought closer to you this evening, we have also received reports of a tragedy that has occurred in Matale. A bus has fallen down a precipice in the Elavana Kanda in Matale, killing 2 people and injuring 40. According to reports, the bus had veered off the road and fallen down a precipice which was 40 feet deep. According to the police, a group of people from a private company who were engaged in an excursion traveling from Colombo to the Vaskamu National Park have faced this unfortunate incident. The injured have been admitted to the Vilgamo Hospital. Of course, this is a developing story, and we will bring you the latest news from this story as and when we have more reports and information on this matter.
On to your sports news. The first ODI between hosts Sri Lanka and New Zealand was won by Sri Lanka under the Duckworth-Lewis method.
Sri Lanka won the toss and captain Sirasa Lanka elected to bat first. Opening the batting for Sri Lanka were Pathum Nissanka and Avishka Fernando. Pathum Nissanka was dismissed for 12 runs off 10 deliveries. Opener Avishka Fernando and Kusal Mendis stitched up a partnership of 206 runs to send Sri Lanka to a commanding score. Kusal Mendis recorded his 4th century, scoring 143 off 128 deliveries. This was the first century he recorded since 2020. Avishka Fernando too scored his 4th century, scoring 100 off 115 with 9 fours and 2 sixes.
His 4th in his career, and as I said, his first since September 2021.
Sirasa Lanka too contributed with a handy knock of 40 of 28 deliveries. Rain interrupted the Sri Lankan innings at 49.2 overs as Sri Lanka put on 324 for the loss of 5 wickets. New Zealand was set a target of 221 in 27 overs according to the Duckworth-Lewis turn method. Will Young alongside Jacob Duffy opened the innings for the Kiwis. Will Young was dismissed for 48 runs off 46 deliveries. Tim Robinson was stumped on 35 of 36. Michael Bracewell was unbeaten on 34 of 32. Sri Lanka's spinners reaped 5 wickets for 22 runs to derail the visitors after their openers had made a strong start. Mahish Theekshana and Sirasa Lanka picked 2 wickets each. In the end, New Zealand did not get close to the 221 they required of 27 overs. They putted to 175 for 9 with too little firepower in their lower order to get them up to the required rate.
Very convincing Sri Lankan in this game. They were surprised in that 20 game. Played here a couple of days ago.
It makes me happy that the team as a whole was able to make a significant contribution towards this game. I kept talking to Avishka and told him to play without any pressure since the runs will come from my end. He was able to score a century since he did that well. After one of us got to a century, we decided to charge the bowling attack since we were unable to get an idea of the score we needed to put up on this track until the last over. We wanted to score as much as we could. Asita maintained his line well in the first 2 overs. It was difficult for us to bowl them out in 27 overs, so we restricted them and increased their run rate. The bowlers should be given their credit. Despite the target being 221, it is not easy defending it in 27 overs since the ball gets wet along with the dew. The wicket played better in comparison to when we were playing. I think the bowlers significantly contributed to this victory.
Taking a look at more news from the sporting arena, Elizabeth Moyer International School emerged as the winner in the triangular basketball tournament held between 3 schools. The 3-day tournament was held at the Colombo Air Force Basketball Court. The tournament, organized by the Student Christian Movement, Prefects Guild and Leo Club of Ethos International College, Colombo, aimed to raise funds for the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children. Ethos International College, Stafford International School and Elizabeth Moyer International School participated in the tournament. Matches were played in both boys and girls categories. The girls' finals saw Elizabeth Moyer International School's team face off against Ethos International College team, with Elizabeth Moyer emerging victorious. In the boys division, Elizabeth Moyer's team triumphed in the final when they played against Ethos International College. Elizabeth Moyer International School managed to emerge champions. And that brings to a close tonight's edition of Primetime News from our news desk here in Colombo. Of course, although the Primetime News come to a close now, the Sri Lanka Decides special parliamentary election segment or event will continue later into the night and also the early hours of tomorrow until the final cumulative results are given to the general public, and we will provide them to you first and fast as and when we receive voting results. We have the Stein Studio crew geared and ready to bring you the latest results. They will bring you analyses of previous parliamentary elections. They will bring you an analysis of the current developments that are taking place, and of course they will give you comparisons of past results and how each party and each candidate has fared at this year's parliamentary election. Rochelle?
Yes, Jamal. So wherever you are in the country, you can now tune in to our live coverage channels on Sirasa TV, Shakti TV, TV1, Yes FM, Legends FM, Sirasa FM, YFM and Shakti FM. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.
Good night.